الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي آمين يا رب. So today what I want to talk about is the goal of every masjid. What is the goal of every masjid? At the very basic level, the goal of every masjid is to put people in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah An-Nur, Allah says, في بيوت أذن الله أن ترفع ويذكر فيه ويسبح فيها بالغدو والآصال. So the purpose of the masjid is to create individuals who are walking examples of the light of Islam. Okay, so this is one goal. But the ultimate, so this is one goal, is to create these individuals, to create a nucleus within a community. You know, we talk about mosques in communities, masajids in communities, and what the community services should be, and catering to the youth, and so on and so forth. All that's good. But at a very broad level, there is the basic fundamental, you could say, of the goal of the masjid. And this is particularly because especially in the Western world, there needs to be a distinction between the community needs versus the real function of the masjid in Sharia. So the function of the masjid in the Sharia is to create a certain type of personalities who carry the da'wah and the work of Islam, a type of personalities, people who are a brotherhood who is meeting 5 times a day or at least twice a day, creating bonds of brotherhood and the bonds of the community that's active in Islamic work. So there's the larger community, and then there's the nuclear community, you could say. The community that's interconnected with each other, the community that knows each other and understands each other, the community that when you stand and pray, you know the person to your right, you know the person to your left. Then this is the basic. Then the higher level of the goal of every masjid is to be like City Hall. You know, City Hall takes care of all the problems of the local area. A masjid should be able to take care of all the problems within, let's say, a 5 or 6 mile radius. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that when they establish khilafah, what will they do? It will be through the masajids. The masajids are the political, cultural, economic, judicial force within Islam, and that's what every masjid needs to strive to. Every masjid needs to strive to have its own autonomy, where it can practice all of Islam, and it can solve all of the problems within its 5, 6, 10 mile radius until the next masjid. Every masjid should see itself as the owner of that city, so to say. Every masjid should see itself as taking on the responsibility of all the problems of everyone within the area that masjid is in. All of the family problems, all the youth and teenage problems, issues regarding drugs, issues regarding... This is why, for example, Imam Siraj Wahaj, when he cleaned up the drugs from the streets, that was taking, you know, he did something to the neighborhood to clear it out. A lot of the African American communities have done similar things, where they have made an environment that shows and reflects Islam. The same thing needs to be done with every masjid in America, not just only regarding drugs and things like that and cleaning up the streets, but at all levels, creating the individuals, creating the brotherhood, and taking on the responsibility, so that when the masjid takes on its responsibility in the fullest sense, then even the non-Muslims of the area, they somehow feel it. They can feel the presence of the masjid. They can feel a presence and a change within their community that's positive. That's a positive force. And it can be anything from whatever talent the masjid has. For example, if the masjid has doctors, they can have free clinics in the masjid that is advertised, you could say, for the whole community to come and, you know, especially in the economic times we live in, people would appreciate that very much. And then that's, you know, the social services the masjid is providing. Why? Because it is beginning to create that political clout that we need. And then, of course, the higher goal is to affect the not just can the political system in the sense of can we have more streets for the masjid, but then being able to, like for example in the West, we can start with something as simple as can we give the once the community knows we're doing good and they want us there, then the town hall or the political leaders, and this all has to be do with the people, the creating the right people who have the right concerns and the right vision. Then they go and talk to the political leaders. They can start with something as small as the adhan, and then creating a political system around the masjid that imbibes the sharia, that imbibes the laws of Islam, so that people can live by them. And if every masjid started to have these two fundamental goals, how many people are coming to the masjid? How can we increase them? How can we create the personalities we need to create? This is one level. And then the other, and of course there's again a distinction between the community needs versus the goal of the masjid. I'm talking here not about community needs, because that's a separate topic, but I'm talking about the goal of every masjid is to create a certain type of individuals, and then have those individuals bonded together so that they can create a certain atmosphere around the masjid, and then ultimately be able to bring in the laws of Islam into that community, where even the non-Muslims will say, yes, we want Islam, we want the Islamic laws, we want the Islamic values in our neighborhood, we want Muslims to be in our neighborhood. And of course then, it could be as something as even rising to the level where they want the laws of Islam and the Sharia to be implemented in their local area. It can start with everything from, yes, say the adhan in the masjid out loud, no problem. Just like they have the bells for the churches out loud, have the adhan out loud. And then from there it can, but every masjid needs to take responsibility, not just from the Muslim community perspective, and not just from the perspective of needs of the community, but from the perspective of the goal of the masjid is to create a certain type of individuals. Then that nuclear group of community of individuals that are dedicated to the masjid, they offer and introduce themselves and introduce Islam by social services. Because for example, the Prophet's mosque was open to all, Muslim, non-Muslim. Whoever wanted help would go there. And so the community needs to take on that responsibility, and in that is the consideration of financial growth, of networking people together so the Muslim community grows more. And not just, nowadays when we have to give sadaqah and everything, we just always give it to the others, not people in our, we need to spend more. There are obligations at the national level, there are obligations at the local level. We need to give at least some of our finances back into the community so that we grow as a community. And this is very important in terms of allocating resources. It's better in the sense of growing as a community to give zakats to someone in your community than someone that's away from your community, because awla fa'awla, nearer and nearer. Sometimes nearer can be looked at in terms of relationships, sometimes it can be looked at in terms of ethnic background, but also has to be some consideration in terms of near being in terms of your local community. If your local community gets stronger, then it can reach the goals of Islam, which is that every masjid should have the goal that we are so much liked in this area, we are so we have developed the skills to solve the problems of the people of this area, that tomorrow if Allah gives you the reign of rule in your hands, you can solve the community problems very easily, because that's what masajids do. And this is what the Quran explains to us, that the masjid is a place of solutions. The masjid is a place where people will find solutions to all the problems of their lives. And the masjid is a place of transformation, where people will be transformed into better human beings. Families will be transformed into better families. Families will be linked together with other good, similar-minded, like-minded families. And so this is the goal of the masjid. Now, of course, like I said, there is community needs, and that is a separate topic for inshallah another day. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.